"You are not cursed. You are blessed. You are stronger, faster, better than them." This quote from the originals perfectly defines the predators with deadly claws and feral instincts. The pure-blooded werewolves are born of ancient bloodlines, hungry and possessive of legacy and power. The werewolves can be as deeply emotional and protective as Jacob Black from Twilight, and also sadistic and feral like Fenrir Greyback from the Harry Potter series. Here are our top 10 picks of the most powerful pure-blooded werewolves in live-action TV shows. To stay updated on the latest notifications on the channel, click the subscribe button and show your love with the like button. And now, buckle up to explore the wild and most powerful pure-blooded beasts in live-action television. La Bête du Gévaudan, Teen Wolf. Known as history's most vicious and famous werewolf, La Bête du Gévaudan, the Beast of Gévaudan, appears in the Teen Wolf universe. According to Gerard Argent, Sébastien Vallet is a serial killer and an 18th century soldier from France who British soldiers were chasing. In Canada, Sébastien drank the rainwater collected in a wolf's paw print, and due to some unfathomable reasons, he transformed into a monstrous werewolf. Shadows surrounded his body. The Argent family lore describes the beast as having a black body that is solid yet shapeless. The official number of prey for werewolves is 113 people, but according to the Dread Doctors, it's really nearly 500. The werewolf did not hunt his prey to satiate his hunger since he attacked only the neck and head of the victims. Sebastian's close friend, Marcel, tried to erase the trail of his crimes, but Sebastian's sister, Marie, soon exposed the truth. She wielded a steel spike made from mountain ash and wolfsbane and developed with her blood under the full moon's light. It was the only effective weapon against the evil werewolf. After Sebastian dies, Marie erases evidence of his existence from history in a practice called damnatio memoria. However, the Dread Doctors successfully developed an engineered version of the werewolf using a teenage chimera as a host. Chris Argent clarifies that with the development of the beast, he will retrieve the memories of his past life, and then the teenager will be physically substituted by the beast's actual host. The giant werewolf was the strongest and largest on the show. His deformed appearance is the outcome of his evilness and mental state. In Season 1, Pete Hale's example shows that werewolves with no control possibly become monstrous, large, and fairly unwise. In the real world, La Bête du Gévaudan was a name given to wolf-like cannibalistic animals that inflicted terror in the Marguerite Mountains of south-central France from 1764 to 1767. Enormous forces and resources were exploited to hunt these animals.
Destroyer of worlds! I am the demon!
Ducallion, Teen Wolf. Another powerful werewolf from the Teen Wolf is Ducallion, who appears in the show's third season. Ducallion was an alpha with a British accent in 1977. Gerard Argent said Ducallion turned Hunter Alexander Argent into a werewolf by biting him. Under the direction of Alpha Ennis, Ducallion arrives at Beacon Hills along with his pack, seeking vengeance for the death of his beta on Chris and Gerard Argent. He tries to establish peace with the help of the local alpha named Talia. However, the meeting with Gerard Argent turns out to be a trap in which Ducallion becomes blind. Taking advantage of the alpha's condition, one of his betas tries to rebel, but Ducallion murders him. This event leads Ducallion to a shocking discovery. When the alphas kill their betas, they grow even stronger. A grand scheme blooms in Ducallion's cunning mind. He convinces Kali and Ennis to destroy their packs and then join him to form the Alpha Pack. Aiden and Ethan are twins and betas of their pack. Ducallion shows them the process of merging. The twins then killed all their pack members and their alpha and joined the Alpha Pack. Eventually, the Alpha Pack is dissolved. Ducallion's eyesight returns, and he's given the option to change his ways. Ducallion then acted as a spy for Scott's pack, siphoning information from Theo Rakin's pack. Tamora Monroe severely injured Ducallion. Ducallion's psychology is a bit complex. He's obsessed with his narcissistically psychotic goal of forming a perfect pack.
I am the Alpha.
Scott McCall, Teen Wolf. The next name on our list is Scott McCall from Teen Wolf, the series' main protagonist. He is the alpha of the McCall pack. Dr. Alan Deaton is his mentor at the Beacon Hills Animal Clinic. Son of FBI Special Agent Raphael McCall and Melissa McCall, Scott was formerly a Beacon Hill high school student. The unpopular and asthmatic Scott turns into a beta werewolf after getting bitten by Alpha Peter Hale. He is a medium-height man with olive skin, curly dark brown hair, dark brown eyes, and a muscular but lean physique. He sports a small scar on his cheek. A tattoo of a pair of black bands is present around his left bicep, which later becomes a symbol of the McCall pack. Scott builds his powerful pack with Alison Argent, his girlfriend, and Stuls Stolinski, his best friend. Even after becoming a ferocious werewolf, Scott never let go of his humanity. He remained compassionate and supported his pack, which helped him become a true alpha in the third season. After his failed relationship with Kira Yukimura, Scott falls for his friend Malia Tate in Season 6. In 2026, 15 years after breaking up with Malia, Alison Argent is resurrected by a ritual and Scott begins a romantic relationship with her. Scott's actions during his teenage years were quite immature, and he took time to control his lycanthropy, but then he became a selfless, kind, and compassionate man. He managed to maintain his human form on full moon nights and even supermoons. Scott had flaws, like instantly trusting people, his wish to see only the best in others and not flaunting his power, and they had often put him in trouble. Scott's second death transformed him into a more confident person who no longer doubts his decisions or capabilities. He was willing to use more power than he previously did. Scott is a true alpha with all the superhuman powers and strength. However, he also has some threats to his strength. Wolfsbane is the prime weakness of all werewolves, and Scott is no exception. Litharia vulpina is a toxic substance that severely affects the canine species. Exposure to the lower voltage of electricity can weaken Scott's healing powers and stop him from shifting into his wolf form, while higher voltage can prove fatal. Although the full moon strengthens a werewolf, it also makes them more aggressive and destructive. However, Scott overcame this weakness by clinging to his humanity. Modified canine distemper virus can sicken both the canine species and humans. Since the werewolves have heightened senses, they are vulnerable to high-frequency sounds. The werewolves and most of the supernatural species in Teen Wolf cannot cross barriers made up of mountain ash. And the most surprising weakness Scott has is guilt. This emotion has severe emotional and physical side effects on the true alpha, stopping his body from healing many wounds. Scott is one of the most powerful werewolves shown in live-action TV shows for his portrayal as a feral beast with a compassionate heart. Ethan Chandler, Penny Dreadful. Born as Ethan Lawrence Talbot, the American sharpshooter is a prime and powerful character from Penny Dreadful. In 1857, Ethan was born to a wealthy family. He served in the American Indian Wars and was part of a dark incident where the troops of the army annihilated an entire native village. Ethan killed a senator's son and fled to Europe. He joined a circus there and showcased his skills as a gunslinger. In 1891, Vanessa Ives met Ethan in one of the bars in London and gave him an armed escort job. Ethan then met a pretty Northern Irish woman, a prostitute, Brona Croft. After Brona's death, Ethan loses control and reveals himself as a werewolf. Ethan is a charming man with brash ways. He's a carefree gunslinger for the world, but behind that facade lies a thoughtful and kind man with a strong sense of morality. Ethan is skilled in hand-to-hand combat and is multilingual. His wolf is strong and possesses enhanced agility, strength, and resistance abilities. Talia Hale, Teen Wolf. Talia Hale's character in Teen Wolf is minor but significant. Former alpha of the Hale pack, Talia was Peter Hale's sister and Derek Hale's mother. Her connection to the strong, pure Hale bloodline allows her to shapeshift into a wolf form completely. The well-respected alpha in the werewolf community died, unfortunately, in the Hale house fire instigated by Kate Argent. Her death happened 6 years before the series starts, and thus Talia's presence is restricted only to flashbacks and mentions. She was a beautiful woman with long dark brown hair and the same colored eyes. She was tall and physically fit. Talia believed and taught that werewolves are predators but are not necessarily killers, and both McCall pack and Hale pack lived by that. As the eldest child, Talia assumed the responsibility of an alpha at a young age, but that became a source of jealousy for Peter, her younger brother. Laura Hale, Cora Hale, and Derek Hale are her children, and they became beta werewolves. Peter impregnated a were-coyote, Kareen. Talia supports and guides Kareen during her pregnancy period, but just before Malia's birth in 1994, Talia fears Kareen may kill her child for weakening her powers to regain her powers. Talia steals Malia and puts her in the adoption system. A human couple, Henry and Evelyn Tate, adopt Malia and raise her. Talia erases Peter's memories of Kareen and Malia using her alpha memory manipulation ritual to save Malia from Kareen. Talia trains Laura to become the next alpha of the Hale Pack. During the Hale house fire incident, Talia ensured her children's safety and entrusted Alan Deaton with it. Talia was an evolved alpha werewolf who could bite humans into werewolves. The wounds she gave to the werewolves of lower status took longer to heal than other wounds. Talia could also erase people's memories using a ritual, and despite her higher status than even alphas, Talia had the same weaknesses as most werewolves. Elena Michaels, Bitten. The main protagonist of Bitten, Elena Michaels, is the next name on our list of the 10 most powerful werewolves. Elena is the only known female werewolf in the world and fiancée of Clayton Danvers. She had a romantic relationship with Philip McAdams in the past. She was slender and short with an athletic build. She had white blonde hair and captivating blue eyes. She became a blonde wolf and had similarities with a big husky in appearance. After her adoptive parents died, Elena became an orphan. She found herself in the state care system and had to live with foster families. When she was young, Victor Olson, her neighbor, molested her. Elena bravely testified against him, and Victor was imprisoned. Elena became Clayton Danvers' assistant to arrange funds for her college. He was an anthropology professor. Eventually, Elena and Clayton fell in love and got engaged. Elena went to Stonehaven with Clayton to meet his adoptive father, Jeremy Danvers. Jeremy was a werewolf, and Elena heard some sounds from the woods while transforming. Jeremy thought Elena discovered his truth and thus decided to kill her since humans couldn't know about the existence of the werewolves. Clayton loved Elena dearly, and to save her, he bit her. And now comes a concerning part. There were no female werewolves since women could not survive the change and usually died. However, Elena's survival was no less than a miracle, and she became the only female werewolf in the world. Unfortunately, she did not know Clayton's reasoning behind biting her, and in a rage, she called off their engagement. When she moved to Toronto and away from Clayton, she met Philip McAdams and tried to live a normal life. She had heightened senses, supernatural stamina, strength, and agility. She was also the pack's best tracker. Her sense of smell was far better than any other pack member. Elena possessed a unique ability. She could stop her transformation in the middle while shifting into her wolf form. Dyson Thornwood, Lost Girl. Fae shapeshifters are supernaturals that secretly coexist with humans and include a wide range of supernatural species. Dyson is a Fae who can shift into a wolf. He is Trick's secret lieutenant. For the mortal world, Dyson Thornwood is a homicide police detective, and though he is a middle-aged, handsome guy, he is 1,500 years old, to be precise. Dyson served the wolf shifter King Ailic for centuries in Ireland, along with Stefan, his best friend. He had fierce and unshakable loyalty toward the king, but when the king betrayed his wolf pack by killing Stefan and taking his wife Sierra for himself, Dyson's loyalty crumbled like a house of cards. Dyson became a lone wolf. Dyson, though epic, is a flawed character with negative attributes, like being short-tempered, jealous, and possessive. Yet he is extremely loyal to his friends and respects the law. He can shapeshift completely as well as partially. Dyson also had a son, Mark, who was a shapeshifter, but he shifted into a Black Panther instead of a wolf. George Sands, Being Human, UK. George Sands from Being Human is in his mid-20s. The young werewolf is Mitchell's best friend and shares a sisterly bond with Annie, growing up in a straightforward family and living a normal life. He is Jewish and wears a Star of David pendant. The pendant can hold back a couple of vampires, but not more than that. George is in Scotland for the holidays with his fiancée Julia Beckett. While wandering alone, an American tourist joins him in a stroll. They lose their way back, and a werewolf named Lee Tully attacks them. The tourist dies, but George survives with wounds and turns into a werewolf. In fear of hurting his fiancée and family, George runs away from his life. After meeting Mitchell, George worked as a porter in St. Jude's Hospital. George hates being a werewolf and has to undergo painful transformations every month. He sorts out many ways to cope with his situation and tries to live a normal life, but his attempts begin to show adverse effects. George impregnates Nina, which follows Herrick's resurrection. Mitchell is behind the Box Tunnel 20 incident, which traps him in guilt. To ensure he would not kill anyone else, he requests George to kill him. However, George cannot muster enough courage to kill his best friend, but when vampire Edgar Wyndham expresses his desire to use Mitchell for his evil schemes, George finally gives in and kills Mitchell. But he also kills Edgar, which sparks a war with the vampires. Nina gives birth to George's daughter. She is beaten to death as revenge by the vampires for killing Edgar. The vampires trick George into leaving his baby alone. They kidnap the baby to offer her to the Old Ones. George forces himself into an untimely transformation to save his daughter, killing Griffin and destroying the Coven. However, this unsafe and untimely transformation results in George's heart and kidney failure, and then he dies. George's transformation into a werewolf is an extremely painful process. His connection with his human self breaks after the transformation, and he also cannot recollect any memories after he shifts back into his human form. George's wolf is vicious and strong. George is not only one of the most powerful werewolves from the universe of live-action TV shows, but also one of the most sacrificed, and able to go to any lengths to protect his loved ones, which is commendable. Alced Hervo, True Blood. HBO's original series True Blood features Alced Hervo. He is a werewolf packmaster who lives in Louisiana and owns a construction company in Mississippi. Jackson Hervo is Alced's father, and Janice is his sister. Alced's father was thrown out of the pack for stealing, and thereafter he decided to spend the rest of his life as a lone wolf. A werebitch, Debbie Pelt, became Alced's love interest when they were teenagers. They get engaged after growing up, but Debbie betrays Alced. Her addiction to vampire blood crosses the limits, and she leaves Alced for Cooter, another werewolf. Alced is respectful and loyal toward his family and friends. He has mastered to control his animalistic nature and prefers to live as a lone wolf. Alced's relationship with his father deteriorates after Jackson tries to steal from the pack. And yet, Alced works for vampire Eric Northman as Sookie Stackhouse's bodyguard to pay his father's debt. After becoming a packmaster, the Alpha's power corrupts him. Alced becomes more aggressive and begins receiving frequent sexual favors from the pack's werebitches. Vampire Unity Society's last surviving member, McCall Wright, a human, discovers Alced's pack's existence and escapes. The pack decides to kill her, but Alced doesn't agree because of his sense of morality. Alced allowed Nicole and her shapeshifter friend to live and betray his pack. However, his girlfriend Ricky Naylor discovers Alced's betrayal and challenges him for the position of the packmaster. When Alced defeats Ricky, he refuses to kill her. He resigned from his packmaster position and again became a lone wolf. While Alced works as Sookie Stackhouse's bodyguard, romance blossoms between the two, and unfortunately, Alced is killed by human vigilantes during his attempt to save Sookie. Alced has all the werewolf powers, and he can easily beat newborn vampires. His wolf form has orange eyes and white fur. However, even in his wolf form, he is slower and weaker than the older vampires. Luke Garaway, Shadowhunters. Luke Garaway from Shadowhunters was born as Lucien Greymark. He is a former detective in the New York Police Department. He is a former werewolf and leader of the New York Werewolf Pack. Once, Luke was a strong shadow hunter from Idris. He was loyal to his parabatai, or long-term fighting partner, Valentine Morgenstern, and his best friend Jocelyn. Valentine suspected an affair between Luke and Jocelyn, and thus trapped Luke in a building with many werewolves. That event turned Luke into a werewolf. The Circle created a battle, the Uprising, which resulted in the deaths of many Downworlders and Shadowhunters. Valentine stole the Mortal Cup, which turned Luke and him into adversaries. Luke then became a member of the Frey family and a father figure to Jocelyn's daughter Clary, and her best friend Simon. Luke was the kind of person who did not encourage aggressive conflicts and bloodshed. He avoided making rash decisions without a proper investigation. As the alpha of his pack, Luke held authority. Luke is a powerful werewolf alpha and a protective father figure who cares for Clary very much. Marvelous verdict. From ancient bloodlines like Hale to ruthless pack leaders, we've explored our top 10 picks for the most powerful pureblood werewolves portrayed on TV shows. Although all of them have different stories, pasts, and struggles, some common characteristics exist. They're all brave warriors, strong beasts, and deathly. We hope you liked the video. Let us know your favorite pick from our list in the comments, and also share topics on which you want us to create such amazing and entertaining videos. And we'll see you in the next one.